Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get rolling. Uh, you know, uh, people's time is valuable, but also that this is going to be out there for everyone to see. So, if you are joining us today or joining us at a later time, thank you very much for joining us. A little bit about today. We're here with Guy Technologies and Interform to present to you kind of some output management options for Sightline and CloudSuite Industrial, and how this is really going to do some things for your journey. So today, doing most of the talking going to be Pascal and myself. And I'm Kyle Myers. I'm with Guy Technologies. I've been with 20 years in manufacturing CSI. Actually, been where many of you may have been in the past. I've either been a functional manager or an IT administrator, all of that. Worked within the CSI realm in northern, um, all across Michigan and the country now. And I currently reside in northern Michigan, lower peninsula, still northern Michigan though, above the 45th. I'm joined by Pascal. Pascal, if you could just say a couple of words about yourself, please.
Thanks, Carl. Welcome, everybody. As Carl mentioned, my name is Pascal. I'm with Interform, actually. Here, my role is head of customer success, meaning responsible for our, consulting department, but also for the support we offer to our customers. Quick about me, I don't have 20 years of experience in the industry, but at least like, let's say 10 years with ERP and output management, and implemented our solution and also other ERP solutions many, many times. And actually, I'm probably a little bit special in this round here because most of you will be from the US. I'm from Europe, actually. I'm located in Germany. So for me, it's dinner time, but I'm still really happy to be here and to have you.
Thank you very much. So why are you here? We're going to acknowledge some things that we work with. As I said, I've been working in this realm for some time, and I get the problems. New reports in the past have been particularly painful. If you're on premise or have been on premise, you have these wonderful reports written in SSRS, or in the Mongoose set. That took a while. I very, very IT intensive. Little changes took a very long time, and there's just bottlenecks in that entire process. That was one thing we ran into. If you're currently in the system right now, you may have some other things. The output, it hasn't really changed much of late. It's very plain. Yes, you can update maybe your logo, but that is a stock logo. You cannot have any variability in that one. Again, you get a very black and white, add some kind of color or interest to reports is there. Now, in the past, you may have done this with crystal reports. Now, we all know crystal reports is not available anymore. So that's really something that we need to can help, you might be struggling with. And lastly, one of the things is distribution. Yep, there are some options within cost industrial, but they're very straightforward. There's not a lot of dynamic or flexibility rules to those. So we're going to talk through how this maybe move the ball for you that one, change the game a bit as we move forward. So a little bit about the agenda for today. Pascal's going to take some time to talk about what is Interform. So it might be new to some of you. It's very understand what is this program and how does it apply to the Infor community. I'll walk through then the CloudSuite Industrial and Sightline elements of it and actually see it in action. And then we'll go back and forth talking about other things that it can do, how other ways can help your business, and then we'll finish up with how this can be part of your journey. Many times we say we're on a journey for different elements. Businesses are on journeys themselves, and this is just part of that story. So Pascal, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Carl, again. Yeah, what is Interform and what do we do and who are we? Actually, maybe I can start with a little bit about output management because output management is like a big word and everybody like defines it a little bit different and a lot of people don't really know what it is about. It's of course about printing, but it's not only about printing and you will learn about that today how we define output management. Quickly about Interform, we are actually a Danish company, but we operate worldwide and we've been on the market for 35 plus years. Actually, our first customer, which is a global car manufacturer, is still our customer today. We only do output management, meaning we only do output management, nothing else. For us, output management is a super important topic. And I think that is something that in a lot of ERP projects, and I've done several on my own, in a lot of ERP projects, it's something that is forgotten or comes at the end. But actually, it's super important because what is output? Output is what your customers get, like printed results, PDF files, emails, and all of that. And if that doesn't look professional, that is bad for your business. In addition, output management is also labeling. You print a lot of labels. And what happens if a label goes wrong? Let's say a barcode is wrong or the label doesn't come out of the printer. Then you are in big trouble. And I think that shows that also the numbers show it. We have like more than 4,000 installations worldwide. A lot of companies, different industries, different areas use our software in combination to an ERP system or to their existing system landscape. And in total, we operate or we manage more than 10 billion outputs worldwide. Also, ERP vendors like Infor actually have recognized that many years ago that output management is super important, but also complex actually. And ERP systems are already complex. I think you know that, Carl. CSI is complex, but you can also see some other Infor related ERP systems we note here. And for all of them, we do output management. And we are actually a recommended or the recommended solution for output management for those ERPs. And I'm not even covering ERP systems outside the Infor world today, but you will recognize later. Next step, maybe, Carl, next slide here. Perfect. I think for you, most of you, or probably all of you, are CSI users, or you're working at a company who uses CSI. And especially for a CSI, we have, of course, a lot of value we can add with our solution, with our output management solution. One is you get modern report templates. I have seen how current or standard templates look when they come from CSI, and I was not really impressed. And I think most of you will recognize what I said. So you get clean and branded and business-ready documents you can use out of the box. But of course, you can also maintain them and make them like individualize them and just make them according to your business CI. What we also do is that you can separate reports, split by customer, order, site automatically. You don't have to do manual work. We do everything basically in the background for you. So it gets really, really easy for the user. And what we also add as a value is you can publish and send the documents wherever you want. Send them back to IDM automated, send out an email, send it to another archiving system or to a third-party product for digital signing, whatever you want. Everything with the product. Carl, next slide. Here you can see one example, and I think, of course, we also know we have some technical members here, and I'm also not a sales guy. You know, I like the technical, the nitty-gritty details behind. But what you can see here is one of the standard layouts we ship with the form pack actually. So it's a fully designed, fully functional template. You can see a guide logo on top. That of course can be modified according to your requirements. But the good thing is with Interform that we also separate the data from the layout, meaning also a business user can quite easily, and I will show you today, go into the software, change a logo, change the font, add a QR code, whatever they want. Those documents are, of course, also multi-language, multi-currency. So if you're operating worldwide and you might have like a document in English and France and English and French, those documents are ready for that. You don't have to build and maintain them twice. And another thing is, what is really important here is the software and the solution not only works for business documents, but it also works for labels. So you don't need a separate solution for local label printing or anything like that. And I think, as I mentioned, like we also want to show you something hands-on. And first of all, Kyle will show you how it looks like inside of CSI, and then I'll take over and also show you the product Interform and a few examples here.
All right, thank you very much. Oh, I forgot to close the screen. So let's walk through how the sector looks and feels. I'm looking at the list and who's in here right now, and there's a lot of techie people. So knowing that was going to be who's here, again, being a former IT manager myself, we'll actually get into some of the details of how this is working so that you have a comfort level with it. In terms of running this, it is actually no different from your operators. So there's nothing special your operators need to do. I'm just sitting here on a estimate form, and all they do is just still leverage their typical estimate response forms. So this is something again where it can just be arranged here. You can also have this still set up as your background task. This is still the vendor version of the form. We're not changing any forms at all on the way. Again, you just click the print button and away it goes. So let's now trigger the task in the background. Okay, so what's going to happen now is this actually goes out and we send the XML file. We're actually going through, we're doing some manipulation behind the scenes for you. And then that goes off to Interform. And it's going to come back actually into IDM. So if we go over back to IDM, we actually ran this one earlier just for test purposes. It'll be here in a hot second. But this is actually then what that report will look like for that form. So you actually, I'll bring it up in the full screen here just to get the full view, if I can remember how that click right now is, but this is the general look of it. So you're going to have that nice layout to it as well. I think if I go back to here and do a refresh, we'll actually get that now. Of course, every time you go to demo in a system, it's always going to not cooperate the way you exactly want it to. So, we'll just go back to here and open it up this way. So with this now, what we can also do, oh, that took the old one. All right, I have a couple of configuration thing I have to work with, but this is the general look and feel of it. So notice how we have a cleaner format of it. We're getting some of the details there. I have a couple other ones I ran earlier that we can all take a look at. Let's look at a shipment document we had. So this is now, again, another shipment document, highlighted it with your logo on it. This is a reprint packing slip report. And all the details. One thing, if I pull this up, you'll notice we also do bring in the customer numbers. These little details that are on the current reports today, I want to point that we spend a lot of time, and a lot's probably an understatement, making sure that all of these reports had all the nuances of the existing reports. So if you're going from a standard report, you're going to have a template that has all that data there. Now, with these templates, what you're going to be able to do then is to actually go in and make them your own. As Pascal will show a little bit later, you have the data's there, you just update the template, you put your logo in there. You can add rules for the different logos based on your business divisions, any number of other features. Now, to take the reports even further, some of the other things that we're able to do, they pull up a purchase order. Things like this, we can actually pull in the image files right from the item masters. So things that are currently challenging in existing reports, let's go pull those items if they're there. Or if you want to have other sources for a picture, Interform has the flexibility to go out and look outside of even CSI to grab those images. It also does bundling on the fly. So although we have page 1 and page 2 of our report, also there's terms and conditions, things that got added into these various reports. All there, it's a systematic process. So if you can define the rules, we can include those all within your Interform flow. So that's kind of some of the nuts and bolts of what you're going to get out of it. Now, again, as I said, there's a lot of techie people on here, and you want to know, okay, Kyle, how is this actually being made? So first of all, if any of you have ever done any enhancement work within CloudSuite Industrial, there's a right way and a wrong way of doing this. I'll stress we did this the right way. What that means is that if you do this on premise, it will fully work. If you move to the cloud, nothing changes. It's the same code set in both places. Even if you do your install or if you're moving to the cloud, you do your uplift and then you actually move, all of that comes with it as part of that change. So you don't have to worry about a reinstall and reconfigure. It's part of that native database as we work through. So we're giving you all the options here as well, where you can actually pick a report. We are pulling from kind of the standard processes that we're piggybacking off of. You can see a list of these are all the reports we currently have pre-developed. Now there's more on the way. Again, with all the care, we wanted to get a block of very usable reports. Just so you're wondering how we pick these match your customer and vendor document profiles. That's actually where we pulled these from. So it's ready to go for all your external documents, and we can go beyond that. Now, as we have these reports, many of you have a situation where you have some custom fields. What are some other things that we want in here? Well, we also gave a methodology where it's very easy to add these fields to the uh, various report XMLs. So things like terms that were not on there natively or currency codes, all that can easily be added in. We even have a UET. So if you want to add all this to your data set, you just come to one form, you put out as to how things are being referenced and loaded in, and that is all there for you. So again, so you don't need to go through and actually modify XML files. You don't need to do a lot of work. You have a standard base right there, code. All the reports are very easy to add, and we just set it up and away you're going. Really cutting down that dev time on getting your data set ready for your report. One thing I forgot to mention, and this is probably a really good time to mention it though, we do have the Q&A open. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and toss them in there. We will be monitoring that, and we'll get around to answering some questions at the end. With that being said, I think hopefully everyone has a good feel. Let's actually jump back over to take a little look at Interform. So Pascal, back to you.
Thanks, Kyle, again. Great input, of course. In a second, I will also show you how it looks like inside of Interform, because Kyle showed you the ERP world, and I want to show you exactly the opposite there. Maybe before I start with the live demo of the product itself, I also want to give you a quick introduction into the Interform approach, meaning what exactly is it that our platform does. And in this overview, you can directly see actually our output management solution is in the middle, and it connects to several systems. Could be Info-CSI, but it could also be an Info-LN or any other system. And also a warehouse management system, CRM, whatever, you name it. It doesn't matter. Any system you have in your tech stack, which wants to create any kind of output for printing or for EDI, for e-invoicing. We connect to that several ways, several formats. You could send an XML file in CSI world, you send an XML, but you could also send a JSON, a text file, or you have an IBMI, we monitor an output. It doesn't really matter. We just connect, we get data, and we only get the data. And in Interform, then the whole magic begins. So we create a layout, we do printing, we do label printing natively, of course. We can send out an email. You can also do PDF and PDF-A, and in Europe also you need PDF UA. And of course, you get all the functionalities like barcodes, RFID, QR codes, form fields. So if you want to sign documents digitally, you have like a DocuSign solution or something like that, you can generate a document from CSI, add a form field with Interform, send it to DocuSign or any other solution, and then get your contract signed digitally, and you don't need to print it out and somebody scans it afterwards. There are a lot of more features here, and of course, a lot of more things I could tell you, and I will tell you later. But maybe let's start with a short live demo of the product itself. So there we go. Perfect. All right. What you can see here on my screen now is a live view into a live Interform NG2 environment, actually. In this case, it's just basically a cloud demo environment we have set up together with Guide and also with some other partners here. And this is just a dashboard. And what I just want to show you, it's output management or printing solutions are often really old-fashioned. Like, you need a local installation for label printing, maintained it and all of that. It's not the same for Interform. Interform runs usually once in a company. You have it on a server or somewhere in the cloud, and you access it just via a nice web interface, and you can see that here. So this is a nice web interface, and you get a lot of different options in the top menu, of course. Interform, the two main parts are the designer. I will show you the design. Actually, Kyle has shown you how the result looks like inside CSI, but I also want to show you how the template designer looks like. And then we have the workflow engine, and the workflow engine is where the magic happens, where we get data and we do something. So let me show you the designer first. And I just picked one of the basic layouts we generated together. This is the customer order invoice, and I think you will directly see it's the same as Kyle has shown you. And this is based on live data from CSI. So when I click on this here, you can see on the left side, there's the XML file. data from CSI. On the right side, we can see how the layout looks like. It's a WYSIWYG designer. Our business can actually open this template, go in here, do a double click. For example, here's an image. I could now just go into my library here, maybe pick an Interform logo, give it a different dimension. I don't know, let's say width, apply, logo is changed, save, period. Same goes for fonts or so. You just click on an element, you change the font or the sizing or whatever. And adding new elements is also super easy. Just doing a right-click insert, you get a lot of options here. And you don't need to program anything. You can add tables, you can add form fields, barcodes, images, you name it. So we can make sure that the documents, they also look like your company CI, and they look modern, and they are updated, and they are professional. You can also, as I mentioned at the beginning, use the designer for labels. I think this is also in later phases, something we will show you in other webinars as a focus. But you can see also you can do labels with Interform, and global companies worldwide, for example, car manufacturers and also automotive suppliers and other industries use Interform with predefined templates. So you don't need to build them from scratch, but we have them here. Next to the designer, we also have the workflow engine. Workflow engine is, as I mentioned, where we basically connect to ERP systems or any other systems and then trigger the outputs and define how to distribute anything. And one of the workflows could look super simple like this here. And you can, I know some of you are techies, and in the CSI world and also a lot of other modern ERP connections, we just do a web service, and then we start this visual flow here. And also here, you can see in this flow, it's super simple. We have an endpoint. Somebody sends data to this endpoint. In this case, it's a JSON. We just convert the JSON to an XML. And then here, what we do is a multicast. We create a PDF email and a PDF document. So super simple. But now let's say you want to add a function here. Super easy for you. You click on the plus. You search, for example, for IDM to Infor Document Management. Click on that. Configure some attributes, apply, save, period. You have made the change to your workflow. You don't need a consultant all the time. You don't have to rely on anybody. Like, this is something you can also maintain on your own. But of course, the templates and also the workflow packages, we have already packaged that for you and build it for you best practice-wise. So with emailing, with IDM connection, all of that. So you don't need to change it, but you can change it if you want. Other than that, there's a lot of features you can use with Interform, and a lot of super cool stuff, as I mentioned, digital signing and so on. But I think for a live demo, now you have seen the template designer, super easy, the workflow. Of course, there are also a lot of logging functionalities and super simple importing, exporting, but we will not cover that in detail today. Back to you, Kyle, at least back to a few slides I want to show.
All right. Let me go back to that one for you.
Nice. Some of this I have already mentioned, actually. You get the workflows I've just shown to you, customizable, of course. You can do a lot of conditions in there, like you can get really, really technical, but you can also do it really and super simple. Basically, the idea is just that you connect to any kind of ERP system, any kind of format, and you can do whatever you want with it. Generate another XML file, send out a PDF file, do e-invoicing in Europe, for example, or in other countries. You name it. Easy template creation. I've shown to you the designer, but actually, and you can see that also here on this slide, what we don't want to have people sitting there for hours and hours and design layouts. So we offer you a really simple WYSIWYG designer you can use, which is user-friendly and you don't need to program. But actually, where we also invest a lot of time together with Guide is that we want to speed up development work with AI, for example, meaning that you don't have to sit there for hours and make sure that my text is in the right position and has the right size and my barcode and all of that. But we can automate a lot of those things that you just do the verification afterwards or a few manual adjustments, but the heavy lifting work we can automate. Also, what I didn't mention actually, but you can also use the template designer or the product for generating Excel output like spreadsheets if you want to generate structured data. And you can also use it for email templates. So you can use the software to generate your HTML templates. You know that you get like I don't know, an invoice from Amazon or so. In the email itself, you already have like all the like product images, like the invoice details and all of that, and you don't need to open the PDF. You can do the same with Interform actually. Data from CSI or any other ERP, put it into a nice email template, send it out. It looks super professional and adds really a lot of value. And as I mentioned here, digital signatures. We, of course, this is just one slide actually. I could speak about that for hours and hours. Like there's so many functionalities you could benefit from. Also web forms. Web forms would be something where you can use Interform as a front end to trigger data. But I know you have a good ERP system in CSI and you can also do a lot in there. But we also know that sometimes you might have an offsite location where you are not connected to the internet or so. And then you can also use Interform to trigger like label printing or so locally without needing the access to an ERP system also. Yeah, Carl, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So what next? That's kind of one of the big questions is what else can this do for us? Turn my camera back on that I'm talking. um, so one of the struggles that I know I had when I was an admin, and you may have, is custom reports. Someone wants something that doesn't exist. Well, since now, getting out of CSI is just a matter of getting the correct either XML or JSON, it's very easy to build that report, and we can work with you on what that would look like. Ion Workflow can build that up, or other custom load methods, and then it's just send it on its way. From there, it's very easy for Interform to pick up that file, and you can now design the report to your liking. There's also custom XML integration. You may, not have all of your information within CloudSuite Industrial. That happens many times. Maybe you have a on-premise store of all your safety data sheets. You need to include some of those, or other specs coming out of your engineering PDM. All of those are now where we can bring that information into it and make the XML exactly what you need for your solution. So really, we open up a lot of possibilities to get your reporting exactly where you need it at. Now, all of this is great. We want you to also have a comfort level that, how is this all now going to be working? What are some of the backbones? So as you're thinking about, okay, how do we make all of this work together? Well, the reason why we're using both CSI and Sightline is that this works with both. So if you are on premise right now, not a problem. It'll work. If you're in the multi-tenant cloud, it will work, because we're using that standard REST API that's built in with CloudSuite Industrial and Sightline. And we're just attaching that XML file that we generate in CSI that goes over to Interform. Again, you can do some additional XML modification there, and then it can send it back. Now, where it sends it back, earlier, I walked through document or IDM document management. That's a very common place. If you want to send the document to your own file server, they can work with that. If you want to send it to SharePoint, we can send it there. So a lot more routing options beyond even just email and document management. Even within document management, let me take a little bit of time to actually expound on that. So standard out of the box, if you're using the standard reporting in CloudSuite Industrial document management, it's automatically populated. It does actually do that revving as you will have with your purchase orders and estimates. All of that is native happening. But you also have the ability to expand which attributes you map to. So right now there's a kind of a limited mapping set. We can expand that using the Interform and their standard IDM integration. It's actually part of their pack is actually an IDM integration. It's all set, ready to go. So the point is, at the end of the day, your documents can land wherever you need them to be. And we'll talk about upgrades in a little bit. So where does it run? I mentioned this earlier, and so I also want to hit it again because there's a couple things. So on premise, V10 and V9, you just need that REST API, and that's where those all came in. Commercial cloud, we're running this out of our internal commercial cloud tenant. That works. Now, one of the areas as well is this does meet GovCloud requirements. We do have a couple configuration requirements that we actually do have Interform on-premise, but that's a very common deployment for Interform is to actually be on your server in that case. So if you are in the GovCloud and you need to have this contained within your four walls, that is how we actually can meet that needs as well. So you can have your cake and eat it too. Now, one of the big values here is again, walking through a sightline upgrade. Some of you may be staring that down, and you may have what I'll call sins of the past, where you've done things and you have to start unwinding those as you want to look at the cloud. And reporting is a very common area where people have met their business needs through some customizations that do not translate well. So first thing is we can actually bring an Interform while you are still on premise, and you can start working on all these reports. You start unwinding what's happened. So you might have those SSRS reports or Crystal even that are vital to your team. We can recreate those using the standard functionality set, and that will then retire these older sets. Oops, my apologies. I got a really touchy mouse. Next is those reports might be based on XGens. So you have the SQL stored procedures. Now in the cloud, it is much more challenging to leverage that. So that's where we have our solution set to build the XMLs. We can start again, taking out those XGens, having that custom XML build, and now we're in a cloud compliant reporting solution. And you can get that all teed up while you're still on premise. And then we'll deploy it to fit you. So again, very common. We'll deploy Interform on premise. That's your works with your reporting, your print server, and that's where that's able to fit in. But as you move to the cloud, you can still keep that on-premise reporting server, or if you want to migrate to the cloud as well as Interform has cloud support, all that now moves with you and not another element to complicate your upgrade process. It's consistent throughout. So it's not a constraint then as you move. So whether we connect it into your testing environments as part of that process, we can do that as well. Just so you know, day one, this is ready to go for you. Now, not only on the guide side are we helping you succeed, but there's some more things actually now on the Interform side. Pascal, do you want to talk a bit about how you can help them get ready for success?
I would definitely. I think I really like the slide actually. Part like when we talk about an ERP or Interform or any other software solution, it's not just about having a software. It's also about having the knowledge to, let's say, operate, maintain, and further develop the own solution with the software. Because the software is usually not just standard, and it's to say, like, of course, it should be a standard software, but the solution you have, your processes in your company, they might look different than to the next company. So what our goal is, and especially here in my role at Interform, is to get you up to speed, to give you the knowledge you need to be able to maintain the solution on your own and to really get the best from it, like the best bang for your buck, basically. And how do we do this? We offer a lot of just free material online. Like we have a big help center with a lot of really good documentation about specific integrations to ERPs, but also for standard functionality, best practices, and all of that. And if the help center is not enough, and especially for new customers starting with Interform, what we also have is our Success Academy. The Success Academy is our online training platform. It includes a lot of, let's say, on-demand training courses where you can really get from zero to hero, I could say, in just a few hours. You just watch a lot of videos. The videos are super simple, super short. You can do that in your, let's say, in your speed. Just learn the product by doing that. You don't need to sit with us for days and, in a meeting room or in a Zoom meeting where we show you how to click in the software. No, you can just watch the videos. There's also, of course, included like support you get from that. So we have a support team around the clock who can help you with really complex questions and all of that. And of course, I also like to be in a meeting with you and to show you something. But usually we like to spend the time together for, like, let's say, the complex stuff and to deep dive into your processes, not just to show you a standard product. So with Interform and with the Success Academy, you really get everything you need to get your whole team up to speed. And in addition, I've mentioned it earlier that we are investing a lot of time into like AI and automations and all of that. So part of our Success Academy are also onboarding resources. Just a super simple example. If you have an existing layout, maybe in CSI, but maybe also in your warehouse management system, a PDF file, you could just send it to us with an XML file, and we can do some magic and automatically generate a template from it. You don't need to sit there, start from scratch with a white paper and build your layout. No, we can do that for you automatically. Also, we have good onboarding packs there, like for the first few months or so, where your team get really up to speed, go through the academy, watches the courses, but then also gets a one-to-one training session with our specialists there. And why is this important? Maybe as a last thing here, I think we are focused here on CSI, and that is really important. But I know there are a lot of companies here who might not only operate with CSI, you also have other systems in your environment. Maybe you're even a company who has like a sister company who operates a different ERP system. And what is let's say, the challenge with this? CSI, as Kyle has mentioned today, you have your, let's say, legacy output ways, SSRS, Mongoose, whatever it would be. But in a different ERP, you have a different built-in output mechanism. But now you're a company and you might run one or two or three ERP systems. And then all of a sudden you have to maintain the output in three different ways. That is super hard. So with Interform, you can just combine that, start with CSI. Maybe you then also all of a sudden have an additional ERP for one of your companies or so. You can still do the output with Interform. It's the same. We just get different data. We just map it, and you don't have to maintain it in several areas. I also know we have some companies, they had like an Infor XA system on an IBMI. They then moved to a different Infor system, but they already had Interform, so they didn't need to worry about the ERP outputs. They already had that in place. Back to you, Carl.
Well, my apologies, had a little tick in my throat. I'm like, all right. So next steps. So first thing is you schedule a conversation. And the best person to talk to is my friend Dustin right up there.
Thanks, Kyle. And Pascal, thank you too. Thank you both for running us through that. It was excellent information. And here, God, we've partnered with Interform for a few years now, and they are great to work with. They are very quick to respond, very timely, and just very easy to work with. So, an awesome partner to have. If any of this has resonated with you all, and if you think that you have a use case that would be relevant that you think Interform and FormPack could help you with, please reach out to me. I've added my email into the chat. If you have any questions about pricing, just one-off questions, or if you'd like to see a tailored demo to the use case that you're thinking of, or just in general, feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to coordinate a conversation with your team and with ours and run you through the solution in a more tailored, customized fashion. So thank you all for joining us today. And again, Kyle, Pascal, thank you both.
All right. Is there
Thanks, Dustin.
any, are there any questions out there? I'm looking in the chat and not seeing anything initially, but definitely if anyone has something to ask, we have time to go through.
See if we've already answered all of them.
I'm looking at the list, and I know I have some conversations coming up in the future with them, so we can definitely answer them there. But
Very good.
well, with that being said, again, please reach out to us. We're happy to share and talk through how we can have an impact on your business. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.